The land his family settled in the 19th century. William Lajeunesse live in Bunkerville, Nevada with the latest. William?
Well, Arthel, right now it is a very fluid situation and getting worse compared to what it was a few hours ago. Police and SWAT teams are in an armed standoff with protesters just up the road. We have a live view that we're going to take some video right now. Basically, you have protesters who are blocking the southbound lane of Interstate 15. That's a major north-south interstate between Nevada and Utah. They were up there and trying to retrieve cattle that belonged to rancher Clive Bundy that had been impounded by the Bureau of Land Management. Bundy had said about an hour or two ago, listen, if I don't hear from the BLM in 1 hour, we're going to go get them. About 200 protesters left this area, headed up there, went to the impound area, and then blocked I-15 in the process. That brought out federal, state, local police, SWAT teams, and that's where it is right now. Earlier today, however, about 2 hours ago, protesters were celebrating in victory after the BLM had decided to back down and pull out. They said for safety of their employees and the public. This after hundreds had showed up here from around the West to support Bundy in his battle with the BLM. The agency says that Bundy had defied 2 court orders to remove his cattle from federal land. He had refused to do that. And yet they backed down out of fear because so many of these out-of-staters were carrying rifles of their own, AR-15s, a lot of sidearms out here. Earlier in the week, there had been a confrontation, and the federal agents had tasered one of his sons, tackled one of his daughters, and again, out of fear of this escalation or some provocation, they decided to back down. Here's some soundbite that we have from earlier today when the crowd heard that the BLM had backed down.
I believe a press release has already been put forth that the BLM is going to cease this operation.
Now, to some, Bundy is a freeloader and an outlaw for his failure to pay his grazing fees over 20 years. To others, of course, he is a hero, a folk hero, if you will, the last rancher in Clark County, and now he has caused the feds to back down. I'm going to wrap it up. We'll bring it later to you about how the situation resolves itself regarding the 400 or so cattle that have been impounded to the feds. Will they go back to the rancher? Will they stay with the government? Back to you.
It's really incredible and unbelievable. Stay safe out there because it's definitely a tense situation. Okay, William Lajeunesse, we'll look forward to your update a little bit later.
Turning now to Oscar Pistorius, ending a very rough week on the witness stand. Blistering cross-examination from the chief prosecutor. The Olympic runner contradicting himself yesterday when he spoke about the night he fatally shot girlfriend Reva Steenkamp, the prosecutor pouncing on his stumbles, saying Pistorius was trying to cover up lies. But the so-called Blade Runner says he was confused, he was tired. Let's bring in our legal panel now. Rachel Self, trial attorney, David Wohl, defense attorney. David, you know, what's interesting about this is that, unlike America, the defense attorney is not even allowed to speak with his client during cross-examination. So for the better part of 3 or 4 days, you know, the defense attorney has not been able to coach his client. Instead, we saw him literally put his head down, shaking his head, covering his eyes, as if, like, what are you doing to me? It has not been good for Oscar Pistorius.
Well, Greg, I don't know about that, though. This prosecutor, and we've all been there when we do trials, Greg, he has been so argumentative. He has badgered Pistorius so much. He has gone so viciously after him that if there were a jury in this case, there's no question the jury would be turned against him. And I'm not convinced this judge isn't turned against him. Right? The judge has admonished him numerous times about calling him a liar, about basically going after him in a way that you would never be allowed to in America. And I think that has damaged the case. It makes the prosecutor look desperate.
Yeah,
the reality is, Oscar's saying here, it was a tragic accident, not a crime. And
you know
the judge
what?
may believe that now.
Rachel, this is a judge. It's not a jury. And this judge is well used to the prosecutor's tactics. And he has really worn down Oscar Pistorius.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing that's so interesting here is we're not in America, we are in South Africa, and it's a very specific system of law over there that focuses on the subjective mental opinion of the person at the time that the crime was committed. And while I think intentional homicide, intentional murder here is going to be very difficult to prove because of the fact that it's a solely circumstantial case, negligent homicide, I think they're going to get there because there are so many things that Oscar could have done differently had he just been a little more clear-headed.
Yeah. You know what, David, I hear this from lawyers all over America who've been watching this case. Pistorius' story fundamentally makes no sense.
Well, Greg, I don't buy that. I think it makes sense because, as Rachel said, you have to look at it from a standard of reasonableness in light of his severe disability. He literally got up that night, Greg, and he was walking on stumps. He heard somebody in the bathroom. He did not think it was Rachel. He did not think it was his girlfriend, Reva, because literally she would have said something. He heard nothing. And if he says something and calls out for her, then he identifies himself to the attacker that he thinks is in his house. So when he goes up to that bathroom door, he knows it's me or the attacker. I have no way of running away from the situation.
Yeah.
He couldn't put his legs on. He
Rachel,
takes 10 minutes to put the legs on.
Rachel, I can hear your exasperation.
No, it's so true because the issue is this. He's no victim. He's no victim. And yes, I appreciate what David is saying with regard to the fact that he didn't have his legs on, but that's how he lived his life. He lived his life without having legs on. So this is not something where he just lost his legs that morning and didn't know how to function. There are so many things he could have done differently to have prevented this tragedy from happening. He could have turned to her in bed and said, I think I hear something, and maybe just whispered it. If the intruder was behind a closed door, it wouldn't have damaged their position at all or put them in any more danger. And
she was not in bed. That was the problem.
Well, but but his story is that he saw her under the duvet cover and knew she was there, and so he went to the door to try to shoot this intruder. But the thing that I find most damaging in this case is the fact that it wasn't the first bullet that killed her, according to the medical examiner. So he fires one bullet, yes, because he's in fear.
Yes.
So he's a hothead. He fires
so she would have
one
been
bullet,
screaming,
and then he fires
David.
three
she would have been
more.
Screaming.
Greg,
and he kept firing.
Negligent homicide, absolutely.
As someone who regularly goes to a shooting range, I can tell you, Greg, when you're firing a handgun, and I've got ear protection, you hear nothing but the handgun discharging. He shot 4 shots in rapid succession. He did not hear anything but the shots, and by the time he stopped, she was down. It was too late.
It never occurred to him, David,
No,
that his girlfriend was behind the door. Come on.
It obviously never did. I think the judge will believe him.
No, because under South African law, okay, you're only allowed to use deadly force against a home invasion if the person is attacking you with deadly force and there's no barrier between you. So I think that he's in trouble here with regard to the negligent homicide.
He surely is.
I don't think they have murder. I don't think they have murder.
Rachel Self, David Wohl, good to see you both. Thanks.
Thanks, Greg.
Good to see you guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't want to die. Those were the emotional first words from Steve Utosh.